Hello, welcome to the Brand Bravery podcast. I'm Amy Purdy, the Brand Explorer, and I am here to help inspire you to bravely overcome your challenges on your business journey by hearing how others have overcome theirs, pushing forward and taking the next step, whatever that needs to be at the time.
It's a brand new adventure for your business journey.
In this episode, I am speaking with Claire Louise Owen, who is a model, an inspirational speaker, and an author on a mission to rebrand Sober as the choice for women who desire more from life. Claire's journey is remarkable and has been such a privilege to watch from the sidelines since I completed a rebrand several years ago now. She has embraced a life of purpose and success. Her journey began when she decided to stop drinking alcohol after she witnessed the impact that it had on her friend's health, and this life-changing choice opened the doors to incredible opportunities and achievements for Claire. One of her key moments has been being featured on the BBC News, where her authenticity and courage captured the attention of many. Following this appearance, Claire was privileged to participate in a photoshoot for a glossy magazine and recentlyYork fashion show. This experience showcased her unique style, confidence and inner beauty, leading to a blossoming career in modelling. Claire believes that sobriety is a path to personal success and a gateway to discovering the potential and pursuing dreams. Claire is creating a community of women who embrace their uniqueness, live authentically and find success in their own lives. So you walked into the Market Women's Network meeting that I co-run years ago now, I'm not even sure exactly when it was, with an idea. Do you want to tell us about your idea and what you did with it?
I did. I think you were the second networking meeting I'd gone to, and it was interesting because I had two hats. I was talking about property, and then I was kind of like whispering this other idea that was bursting to come out of me. And I just felt so held from the people who were there that day. I was, at the beginning of my journey with quitting alcohol. So looking back, I was quite vulnerable. I see a different side of me looking back. I thought I was all together, but it was like the vulnerability was there, and I had to be courageous that day and share the seeds of my idea.
Yeah, and it was a really good conversation around the table. I mean, I've got vague recollections of us all having a really positive conversation about alcohol and about you starting your business and I suppose sort of building you up a bit, which was really nice. So you left that meeting and you decided that you were going to set up as the Soberholic. How hard was it to come up with that name?
I think, to be honest, I think the name was already planted in me. The bit that I think because what happened was I didn't even leave the meeting. I hung around at the end and I spoke to Anne English, who was doing a presentation. And I think it was September 2019. I think it was about then, if I'm right. And it was interesting because I didn't want to lose that connection once I was in a room full of complete strangers. And I hadn't had that with my previous business. I hadn't actually gone out and networked. I'd gone down the landlord networking route, but never as a business. And to be held by such strong women who I felt like we played a game of yes and, because I was sharing my ideas, and Anne and yourself, and I think Sarah Seed was there in my head as well. And we're just bouncing off ideas, and it was just, could see how it would really help people. And it kind of gave me that permission to just keep going. And at any time I wanted to run and hide, it would have been easy to run and hide. But this niggle was in my head, and I made an appointment with you, and you came to my house, and I said, I need a logo. I need a logo before I start. And you were like, right, sit down and listen. Actually, I think you said, sit down and tell me everything, and you got it out of me. And I know we've gone really far with the question, but I just feel so inspired that I look at these, the avatars that you created from that meeting, and they've just kept me inspired. They still feel fresh, they still feel brand new. There's still so many things I can dig in with them, and it's all from that initial conversation of me sharing with you my story and my vision, even though inside I just wanted to run and hide. I can remember thinking, well, I'll never see this woman again, I'll never see her again. And she thinks she starts laughing, but you didn't. You held me, and we worked got together, and I think there was a team of us initially, and I didn't know what I didn't know at that point. I remember I got all the, the artwork and the illustrations back from you. I got all the words from Louise Heaps. I had the vision and the strategy from Anne, and I was like, now what do I do? Like, what do I do now? That was just the beginning. Part of me thought that was the end.
That was just oh, definitely was just the beginning. Yeah, I remember I left that meeting feeling really inspired because I mean I've never been a big drinker, but which I think I shared that with you at the time. But it now I barely touch it. Like literally, I have to have a cold and then I'll have a drink because that helps it go away. But that's about it now. And it's really interesting that when you start thinking about the benefits of having a life of sobriety, that there is a lot of them. So do you want to talk about that a little bit before we move on to all the benefits that you've had as a result, just like the general ones that everyone can benefit from?
Totally. I mean, I think about it like the disco ball technique, right? I'm a bit of a party animal at heart. That's what I love. And I thought that the route to that was through alcohol. So a big part of me felt I had to give all of that up as well. Where it's actually like I've made one decision to say no to one thing, and it's allowed me to say yes to so many other things.
Yeah.
It's like the energy that I've got back. It's not so much, when I look back, I could sit and think, well, was it that bad? Everyone's struggling. Are you supposed to be happy? Like, I could have kept going the way that I was going, but I had this niggle in the back of my head. I had this friend who I could see, 3-4 years ahead of myself by looking at that. And it was my health. It was my health that I really was inspired to look at initially, because I lost my father and he was only 45. Now I was coming of age. And there was just so many signs, big neon pointing, saying, what are you going to do about it? Like, you can see this is what's happening. Like, are you learning from the people in your life? Like, we have the evidence, don't we? And it wasn't so much what I was running away from. It was more to do with what I could have instead. So, I'm here for the people who are, we talk about ideal client. And I've gone all the way through all this training, and I keep coming back to the fact that it's me following my golden thread and looking back and thinking, what did I learn? What can I share? What did I see? And it's just what I saw was somebody who was trying her best, working hard, trying to be the best of what she was for our family. But I was relying on this thing that I didn't realize was dragging me down. It wasn't the glue holding everything together. It was actually the problem. And it was so hard to admit that. I mean, even now I find it hard to admit that, because this is something that happens to other people. But my way isn't about hitting rock bottom. It's about thinking about those positive benefits. And it all starts with your sleep. When you pay off the sleep overdraft and you have that energy to do more of the things that you love to do, and to give that energy to the parts of your life that, at first need your attention. And then after that, you put yourself where you feel good, and you keep and then that pays off, because it just ripples out to the people around you, and you just turn up with more of a solution focused can-do attitude, instead of what you need is a good night out. Actually, that's not what I needed. It wasn't a good night out. I needed to stop and think about, what was it that I was actually really craving? What was it that I really wanted? And I didn't know. It took us a long, long time to figure any of that out. And I'm still on that journey. I'm still just, choosing again. It's amazing. Like, really, the benefits are just so, it's like whatever you want, really, because it's the energy. It's like having that petrol in your car to take you wherever you want to go. That's how I see it. So it's so individual and personal, just to picture yourself as that best version, without the hangovers. It's just more having a more upbeat, energetic passion for life. And you still have bad days. You still have days where things don't go according to plan. But that's life, isn't it? We're not trying to avoid that. We're just trying to, trying our best.
Yeah, and I love that about like being your best version of yourself, and you have so much energy. But yeah, so that those things, obviously having that big change where you stopped drinking and you had that better version of you where you were clearly feeling more energetic and you felt like what was it that made you have this like pull that you wanted to share it with other people? Because that's quite a big thing to be like, I'm just going to keep this. And you could have just kept going in property with a clearer head and doing better with it and feeling great. But you decided that you needed to tell the people about this and they need to change their lives as well. What? Why?
Honestly, it's really hard to put my finger on what it is that continues to drive me forward with this, because like you say, it would be so easy to just say, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to get on with my life and enjoy my life. And I think part of the timing just seemed to be really good for me, because I moved as well. I relocated to North Wales, which was part of our bigger picture for us as a family. And so being somewhere where I didn't have any distractions, and then COVID hit, I just felt like it was spilling out of me. And it wasn't necessarily for other people, it was for myself, if I'm honest. It was me first. It was for me first, for me to see where I had been and where I was now and where I was heading. And Anne helped me with that first meeting. She explained to me about unconscious competence and then conscious competence. And those are the 5 stages, that walks you through. And I was actually I was engaging like Elsie and learning and figuring it out, really. And then it was like when I looked up and thought, well, what do I really want to do? I wanted to be around other inspirational people. I wanted to be inspired. So I went deep into the world of online learning, and I applied for a competition. Well, it wasn't even a competition. It was a prize, and I didn't win the prize. Was to be featured in a book with other inspirational women, and I was really upset. I phoned my mum and I said, I didn't win. I had my eye on the prize, positive pants on. I was going for it. And my mum just said so flippantly, well, just write your own book.
Yeah.
And honestly, of course, it had always been in my head, but until she said that, it was almost again that permission. And thinking, could I do that? Okay, I'll think about that for a little while. And then I looked at all the stuff I already had. I built an online program. I was trying to sell that. And, everywhere I went to meetings, what you need is a book. A book's like a business card. And I was thinking, right, okay, better put it in a book.
Yeah, and it's a really good book, and everyone who feels like they would like to be a soberholic needs to read it. And there's more about your story in here, and there's more about different ways to get through the different stages. You've got this 5-stage process that we created these ladies for. Do you want to talk people a little bit through the sober goals?
Absolutely. I think the first point was when I first started, my first day one was never to give up forever. And I mean, I still don't use the word forever. I don't say that. I don't use the word alcoholic. I tend not to even say recovery. I just feel like this is a chapter of my life. And so when I stopped drinking, I wanted to go and see. My friend had been to a recovery center, and you could refer yourself as a client, but I couldn't see myself like that. I had a property business. I had people trusting me with their rent. I didn't want to walk in like that. So I walked in as a volunteer, and I learned a lot about what they do to offer support. And they offered me a job to help them with their rent, anybody who was in active addiction, having problems with their rent. And I nearly took the job, and it just didn't feel right. I mean, it would have got me a regular wage. I could have felt like I was helping. It just didn't tick the boxes. And so because they offered me a job when I was a volunteer, it was really hard to say, no, thank you, I don't want the job, but I want to stay here. I want to start.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, okay. And I just ordered loads of books off Amazon and started my own learning journey, studied life coaching, and came up with a 5-stage process by looking at my own journey. So started off stuck like Susie, then we'll observe like Ollie, and that's observing your own behavior first, as well as the people around you, as well as thinking, well, how the hell, what else do you do on a Friday night if everyone in your life drinks? Well, what do you do with yourself? It's like you have to cut yourself off. And that's hard. That's usually the hardest part for people who are my ideal client, because, it doesn't look like a problem from the outside. She's not sure if this is just mother's guilt that she's feeling, if she does deserve a good time on the weekend. She's still in that. It's like a conflict going on constantly, pulling back and forward. So observing your own behavior and seeing that for what it really is. No pressure to stop yet, but just observing. And then you become bold like Bessie, and that's when you take action and you say, right, this is my day one. You know, let's see how far I can get. And you're just beating your personal best, right? That's all you're doing. And you're learning where the obstacles are coming up. You're learning, like, is it on a Wednesday every time you speak to your mother that you have to have a bottle of wine with, you know, when is it? What is it in your life that's actually coming a cropper? So you can really identify it and think, well, what can I do to dig into that and change that? So we're not really thinking about the drinking. We're looking at the things, the pathway to the drinking, and we're trying to maybe offer some other solutions, some other ideas, and just things we've never tried before. I had never tried meditating. I'd never tried like getting my head out under the sky instead of having a glass of wine. I'd never even tried.
Yeah. It's just about doing new things. And I know in your group, because you have a free Facebook group, which I'll link to in the show notes as well. You're all about encouraging people to do things differently, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I think at that stage you become engaged like Elsie. So you're not sitting at home with the curtains closed and like you would maybe in dry January.
Yeah.
Doing that, you're going to the parties, you're having the difficult conversations, you're actually saying, no, not for me. And at that, you come home a different person after you've said that. And then you walk a little bit prouder and you've got another day under your belt, and it's just a journey that you're on. And then something happens and you have a drink and you go, right, you put that in your habit tracker and you say, not today. Today I'm going to look after myself, but the next time I'm feeling on top, I'm going to dig into 10 silly ideas what I could have done instead.
Yeah.
I tried aerial yoga. I tried walking up mountains. I tried so many things that I would have said were for other people. And I tried them for myself, canoeing, like all of these things, you know, and it's just every time you just come back like a little different version of yourself. And recently I did a fashion show, and it's like just taking your 10-year-old self on all of these little projects and adventures, and I'm having a great time. I mean, I homeschool my children now, and this is me still engaging. I'm engaging. I'm not choosing alcohol. I'm using this energy for something else.
Yeah.
No. And then some days I feel like I'm totally rebalanced, just like Riley, and that's the final stage. And you're not always there. I mean, the beauty of the process is even if you slip up, even if I'm here one day and I'm engaging and I don't feel that great, you never go right back to here. You can't unlearn what you already know. You can't go back to that unconscious incompetence, can you? Because you know. It's really recognizing yourself in this process and feeling like it's no fail. I mean, we have so much shame. You try to do something and, you try again and you pick yourself up and you try again. And it's just instilling that mindset in yourself and in the people around you. And learning about yourself, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's self-awareness.
Yes, and that's really interesting about like the people around you, because you ended up taking your husband on this journey as well, didn't you? Eventually, as well as all these women that you've helped. And I think there's been a lot of brave moments in you building your business, and we might talk about a couple of them in a minute. But I think even before you started, obviously you had to become sober yourself. And like you've just highlighted, there are lots of times when you have to be brave. And like if people go and buy your book, they can read more about some of those moments. But there's one where you're camping and people are drinking and you say no, and it's really hard. It's
And
like
he said yes.
things that you have to do. Yeah. And then your husband saying yes. And then you went to the Cumberland Drug and Alcohol Partnership for a presentation, and you talk about that in your book and how terrified you are. And I remember you doing that presentation. I'd met you by then, and you were really nervous, and it went so well, and you got really good feedback from that lady, and those things help propel you forwards. But it's about making those decisions in each of those moments, isn't it? And that's what you're telling people to do when they've joined your program.
Absolutely. And it's like, I've chosen this to be the thing that's bigger than me.
Yeah.
I talk about that, don't I? I think I've heard that in AA speak. I mean, side note, I've never been to an AA meeting, right? For me, I just wouldn't feel aligned. So I've tried really hard to build something for women just like me. I mean, that was built for men by men in the 1930s. And I feel like I've created this for women for today. Because
Yeah.
all of it is, we've been led to believe that we need it. I mean, the mummy needs wine culture, that is what this is all from. You know, we were being independent and we were drinking pints with the lads because we could, the ladette culture. And then just the wine at home for me and the having kids. My drinking wasn't really when I was going out, it was at home, like most nights, not even for any particular reason or celebration, just because I was the grown up in the house. That was the only reason. And it got to become such like a drain on all of my resources, really. And I think it's just kind of recognizing that and thinking, you know, if I can do this, then maybe other people can do it. But for to have something bigger than me that keeps me going. I mean, one of my first clients was a lady with learning difficulties. So she really helped me to simplify everything that I felt I was going through, which helped me to embed that learning and understanding. Because when you're sharing it with someone else, you know, you've got to understand it so that you can teach it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And we talked about things like anxious Andy and the wine witch, and, you know, and just digging into why is it that we feel we need it when we don't. We're sitting here having a coffee, having a chat. We're confident women who have brilliant ideas in our head, and we're poisoning ourselves, and it just doesn't make sense. And to sit with a lady who has learning difficulties and to explain that, but to see that she also felt totally left out because that was the society, that's what you do. And if you don't do it, that means there's something wrong with you, or it means you're judging other people. And once that gets under your skin, you cannot just get a job in Asda and forget about this idea. You got to keep going. And all of the teachers, I put myself in positions in front of amazing teachers like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. They like drive you forward and tell you that, you know, if this is passion driven, it's something that's inside of me. It doesn't matter how long it takes. The impact that I'm having it's there, isn't it? It's not like, it's not a destination. It's just on the way. I'm just sharing what I know. And like the song from Pink, that's all I know so far.
Brilliant. But where was I going to go next? I had a thought and it disappeared. Being bigger than you. So you have gone through this whole process and you've got your program, and I think it feels to me like things are going in a slightly different direction at the minute. Not like you're pulling away from this, but you are using the fact that you are sober as a catalyst to help you reach other dreams that you have, like being a model. And I know that's been super exciting for you. So do you want to share a little bit about how that's come about and what it feels like to do something that you've dreamed of doing that you don't think you would have been able to do when you weren't sober?
Oh, it's just fabulous. I just loved it. I think, you know, I've been offered lots of different routes because of this type of work. You know, I could have gone into like health clinics, and I could have tried like NHS route. And, you know, there's many other people who've stopped drinking and who are making massive impact and changing lives. And, you know, they go down the setting up a voluntary, you know, what they called, like a charity. Sorry, to set up a charity. They do all these different things. And because I'm still on my journey, it's like me, what I call following my golden thread. So what jumps out to me? And the thing was the PR. I loved trying and aiming and pitching. And then you get a win of being free PR, being in the newspapers, or I was on TV. That was a fun time. I
love how this has happened a few times and you're still sitting there like, yeah, I can't believe this happened.
BBC.
You're a pro now.
I know, ITV News. And I mean, you get loads of knockbacks. Everyone sees the wins, don't they? But the things, I applied for a shampoo commercial and I was sure it was mine and I didn't get it. You know, I was trying for a modeling sofas. I didn't get that one. But it's interesting how me just following the things that I'm enjoying has just led to opportunities. Like, because I was putting myself forward and I'd had my photographs taken for my brand pictures, which made a huge difference if you've got your own business. That one day of courage and bravery, you know, with lots of planning before, just helps you turn up even on the days when you're not feeling so great, you know. So that was a big step as well, doing that and planning it out, because then pictures again still feel fresh. they're 2019, no, 2020 now, 2020, 2021. They're a couple of years old. I'm going to have to keep up. Maybe get some fresh ones done. But I think having that experience and just dreaming a little and putting myself forward for things and having a few wins and then when you win and you go, oh, you know, when I say win, I mean you've pitched and then you get a win, right? And then it's a brand new version of yourself that has to prepare for that. So, you know, when I applied in a moment of bravery for the York fashion show, and they came back and said, right, we're interested, can you come to an audition? So the next week I was preparing for the audition. And it just, you know, I'm fortunate I've got properties that are doing all right. So that means that I can put my energy into this. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm not getting paid for. It's like putting yourself forward. The fashion show, I didn't get paid for that. It cost me a fortune, you know, to go. I went back to the modeling school, then I went back again for 5 days for the actual week. But it's where I want to be. It's being around the creativity and the people who are all trying their best. They're all pushing themselves forward, and like the network of the photographers, the makeup artists, the designers. It's just like, I'm like, again, that 10-year-old just in awe of all of it. And now I feel like they're all my friends. It's like, you know, I've been invited back in October, and it's just making sure that the spin-offs are there, because all the ideas come, but you've got to send the emails. You've got to say, look at me, which can get a bit exhausting. It can get tiring. You've got to have, you know, that plan ahead, which I feel like I've got my strategy, feel like it's just coming now, because for a long time I was throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticked, and then feeling it. Now, how does it make me feel? Like, I've tried a membership, I've done one-to-one coaching, but I've decided now, because of the stage in life that I'm at, and I'm home educating these preteens, I want to concentrate on that and maybe push my blog post, and then after that maybe go into one-to-one later on. So it's all got to fit into your own flow as well, hasn't it? It's not just get loads of clients. You know, I could be back to back with one-to-one clients, but it wouldn't be the Claire that's sitting in front of you here now today, would it?
No, that's the great thing about having your own business. You can do it entirely on your own terms to fit you and your other commitments and your own
But I
passions.
haven't always known that, Amy. I think that is a key part, like doing what feels right. You hear people say that, but you still have to work hard to switch off that thing that tells you it has to be hard.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know why, but especially about this, because it's such a serious subject. And then here I am flouncing around at the fashion show and people are struggling. You can feel a lot of Catholic guilt, you know, about
But you're showing them what it can be like and how they
know.
can feel. They don't have to go down the modelling route, but it's about they'll have the same feeling about something that they feel excited about.
Yeah, but just to
Yeah.
say that is the vulnerability, isn't it? That's the courage that I have to dig in, and I have to switch that
Yeah.
off, because I feel as if that you could sit and procrastinate because of that and think, I need to get back to the trenches, back in there where the pain and the suffering is, and carry these people out, you know. And that's not why I'm here. That's not helpful for anyone. No one did that for me, you know. And I didn't even do that for my husband. I just shone my light and said, this is better. You know, this is better, this is easier, come on. And finally, eventually, he said, all right, okay. And then now it's better. Things is just, it's easier. It's not that it's better. Last night I watched a concert on Veeps. Have you heard of Veeps? I hadn't heard of it.
No.
Live stream concert. I watched it from home. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to be there with everybody else who was drunk, you know, throwing drinks. So it's almost like you become aware of all this other high level thinking. And to me, I felt like I was VIP. I didn't feel like I was stuck at home. It was perfect. I had my big earphones on and it was just amazing. I felt like I was there. And so you just find other ways. I mean, you can still go to the concert, you can still meet up with your friends, but there are other ways as well. You can design your life any way you want, can't you? And that's what I found out.
So we've reached the end already. You were going to share 3 things with us. I think some of them we've briefly covered already, which is handy. But if you would like to share your things, that would be great.
So I think the first tip I said is to learn at least enough to have an opinion. So if you can find opportunities to share your passion in your niche, and it's okay that for somebody to always will know more than you, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. And the second tip was just a reminder to be you, because you are your brand. I think I tried to hide behind my brand for a little while, and then as soon as I became like Claire, the Soberholic, like people want to see you, they want to know who you are, what lights you up. Like,
I
so
agree.
what's your vision? Like, I just changed my profile picture. I had a picture of myself in the designer's outfit. That's her vision, and she gave me the attitude and the story behind the clothes. And today I changed it back to myself, and I feel, you know, it's like your brand, it's your vision of yourself. So be you. That's what people want to see.
They do. Yeah.
And the final one was choose something that you can talk about for hours to anyone who'll listen, and it doesn't have to be your husband.
But it helps if he doesn't mind. Yes, mine points out bad logos when we're in the car now. He'd be like, that's a terrible logo. It's really funny. It's great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Claire. That has been fantastic. And I think I've heard things that I hadn't heard before, which is quite something. So that's good. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Bravery podcast. Check out the show notes for all the links and information you need, including links to my social media and my website, so you can let me know what you thought of this episode. Please share with anyone else who you think would enjoy this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next episode.